Hey, good evening, fam. Good evening. Hope all is well with everybody. Hope all is well with everybody. Listen, I'm excited about this one, right? Because I'm a sports fan. Everybody knows that, especially basketball, right? And the title of this live today is pretty much how athletes can retire tax free, right? And check this: champions are made on the field and on the courts, but fortunes are made when the light goes off, and that's where the games get real. All right. I always enjoy starting off with stats, okay? Because again, I believe like numbers tell a story. The average NFL career, I don't know if you guys noticed, I thought it was longer. I thought it was longer than this, but the average NFL career is 3.3 years. And for the NBA, it's 4.5 years to 5 years. Okay. Yet the contracts can be in the millions, right? Today, we'll look into athletes who's earned real big but lost it all or left nothing behind. And then I'll show you guys, or I'll express to you guys how an IUL, and which is an index universal life policy, can actually flip the script. And if this is your first time watching, hey Najee, how you doing, brother? Thanks for getting on. I appreciate it. Um, if you guys this is your first time viewing me or seeing me, once it's over, please subscribe. I come with 16 to 17 years of value from the insurance industry and the financial service industry, period. My, you know, my main niche is pretty much tax-free retirement planning. Okay, that's what I do for a majority of my clients. So, um, if after watching this, as a matter of fact, as you're watching, and if you know anyone who's an athlete or a coach, right? If you can share this with them right now or get them on this live, I think this information can end up saving a lot of these boys or these women. And I say boys because it's mostly the men who retire broke after they're done playing, even though they've made millions of dollars. Okay. So if you know anybody who's an athlete, if you know any coaches, any parents who their child is an athlete, and I mean college and beyond, because I believe now in college, they pay them a little something now, with all these NIL deals and things like that. We can start to save these kids, early before they get their hand on that huge lump sum and start to blow it. Again, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. And if you personally are interested in this potential product that I'm about to go over, feel free to text me. I work well with text because I get a lot of calls every single day. But if you text me and I know what you're texting about, I can immediately get right to you. That number is 443-208-5480. That's 443-208-5480. Or you can email me. And as a matter of fact, let me just put my email in the chat here. Give me 1 second, guys. Yep. If you're watching this right now and you know of anybody that have children who play sports or who are athlete, who's in college or who's in the NBA or NFL or MLB, just put in the chat, a thumbs up, because I think a lot of these children, I think in most cases they lose majority of their money because they get the wrong advice, from people. And I'm going to go over how just a small contribution from these pocket of money that they get, this big pots of money that they get, can actually last them for the rest of their life and pass on massive generational wealth, right? So, the painful reality is this. Um, there are a lot of athletes, especially in the NBA and the NFL, who end up retiring and they've made millions and go broke. I'm gonna give you some examples, right? There's a guy named Anton Walker who played for the Boston Celtics, right? Anton Walker, despite earning over $110 million in his NBA career, ended up filing for bankruptcy. So can you imagine somebody who made $110 million and still end up filing for bankruptcy? Example that, and these are big time people that I'm going to name. But it happened to the second string players, the people who was in the practice squads who actually get a pretty decent pay. They blow through it just like that also, right? Allen Iverson, who earned $155 million, but still faced financial distress later. Steve McNair, who died at the age of 36 years old, didn't, he left his family with pretty much nothing, no estate or legacy plan, and which is crazy, right? Around 65% of NBA players reportedly go broke within 5 years of retirement. 65%. That's crazy. And so they made all that money, and then 5 years later, they're financially bankrupt. Okay. High income, just so you guys know, doesn't automatically equal lifelong wealth. If your money is not managed properly, if you're paying heavy load of taxes, if you venture into high business risk, and then with these athletes, there's injuries sometimes, and then poor structure of their finances can erase everything that they have accumulated, right? Now, what is an IUL and why does it fit, or why do I believe it fits most athletes? And I've been thinking about this for a while because even outside the athletes, I hear about musicians, entertainers who end up going broke after they made that much money, and then they turn around and trying to sue for their royalty, or they're in their 50s and 60s and still have to perform at concert because in most cases they're running out of money, right? So this go beyond just athlete, even though the focus of today is athlete. So again, if you guys know anyone who was an athlete, any musician, I mean, we're in the DMV. Some of us know, some of these, athletes and these entertainers, local heroes and stuff like that, right? But I believe that IUL solves a lot of problems. Now, what's an IUL? So pretty much an IUL is it's an index universal life insurance policy. Okay, it is a contract with the insurance company designed for growth, which is cash value, protection, which is in the event that somebody passes away, and then also too, there's another part too, because and I forget that gentleman's name who, I mean, he was a really good player, and I think he ended up the reason why he had to exit out the league. I think he had like some kind of bone cancer or something like that. That one like I think he had jumped one time to dunk and I believe his bone shattered, something like that, right? The newer type of IULs have something called living benefits that's tied to it. So the IUL actually covers three things that most people or may happen, three events that may happen in a person's life, three major events. One is somebody passed away. That's a major event. Okay. And two is somebody falls sick. Okay. And then number three is the savings side, which is the cash value. Okay. The living benefits covers a couple of things, three main things actually: terminal illness, chronic illness, and then also critical illness, right? Terminal, I think mostly everybody know what that means. A person go to the doctor, they say you have 12 months to live. At that point, you have access to a percentage of your policy. You know what I'm saying? Chronic pretty much by definition, you are unable to perform 2 out of 6 of the daily living activity. That's bathing yourself, clothing yourself, using the bathroom by yourself, toileting, continence, stuff like that. Okay. And then there's critical illness, cancer, heart attack, stroke, dementia, renal failure, all these things, right? And it happens to athletes too. You understand? They're still normal, everyday people. Okay. But most of them, will go broke. I mean, I was watching a sad story the other day on Netflix about, I think his name is Delonte. Is it Delonte Moore? He played with the Cavs with LeBron James, what, and I think the gentleman's homeless now. That situation, they say it might be a mental thing, whatever. But there's been quite a few athletes who actually went homeless because they blew through their money. Okay. So today we're gonna go over why a life insurance policy, make a lot of sense. And I just want to say this, right? And I hope this doesn't turn some people off, right? But have you ever wondered, and I believe there are some people in the league who know about this, a particular, group of people, because think about it. Most of the African American athletes make majority of the money in the NBA, but they are the one that actually end up going broke. Then you have the other group who don't make nowhere near what they make, and they end up, still maintaining and sustaining. And I believe a lot of them, sat down with advisors that get them towards these type of life insurance policy, because these policies will pay them until they die. And then when they pass away, they're transferring millions over to their family. You understand? I read a scenario, and I wish I would have had that before this live started. And I used Jaylen Brown's new contract as an example. You understand? And I believe it was like $100 million policy, just as a scenario, right? Just to see what it would look like. And if Jaylen lived to age 90, he will pass on about $1 billion plus to his family. That's crazy. You understand? And I know most of these athletes don't know about this. Okay. So I want to go over some example, just to show you guys. Again, you guys, once this, hey Chad, how you doing, man? I appreciate that. Yeah, crazy to think that, right? Because a lot of people make a lot of money in the NBA. But I've heard NBA blowing, I heard players blowing $100,000 a night at a nightclub. Can you imagine $100,000 a night at a nightclub? Okay. And now listen, I'm not going to stop a player from having fun, because they work hard. But what I want to do is, if we can show them, hey, just take about 8 to 10% of what you're making and put it into this IUL, and you'll be set for life. So if you make it to 7 years in the league or so, if you take 10% of what you're making and throw it into that IUL and live off of the rest, you understand? You're set. You're set. You shouldn't go broke. Okay? So we're going to go over some scenario here. A basketball player signs a $20 million a year contract for 5 years. That's a total of $100 million. He decides to allocate $1 million into an IUL during those 5 years. So let's say age 28 to age 32, right? And hypothetically speaking, let's say that contract, that policy is giving him about 6 to 7%, on compounding interest for the next 30 years. By the time this gentleman is age 60, okay, he will have between $15 million to $25 million cash. Now remember, he only contributed for 5 years, $1 million a piece. That's $5 million he contributed to end up having well above $25 million by the time he's age 60 that he can withdraw from. Okay, so let's say, for example, at retirement, he begins taking $750K to $1.2 million a year. Okay, that will last him for the next 40 years. So you put away $5 million, which a lot of them can do in just one deposit. Hey, you know what? I'm not gonna do $1 million a year. Let me go ahead and just write a check for like $5 million. Okay, and just let it sit there and marinate. Okay, now they're 60 years old. Now they're able to pull 750K, 750K to $1.2 million a year, and they can do that all the way to the age 100 for 40 years. For 40 years, okay. I forgot that guy who played for the University of Maryland, but he also played in the NBA too. Joe, why can't I remember these people's name? Another one last year, a story came out about him that he's broke. I mean, you hear these stories like almost every day, and it's sad to say. I don't, but again, a lot of it is these boys are not getting the right advice. These boys are not being put in the right position. You have the friends that come to them, hey, let's open up a restaurant, and that then flops. Hey, let's invest in this Bitcoin situation, and boom, the money is gone. Some financial advisor robs them. I think Tim Duncan was robbed by his financial advisor like over $10 to $14 million, which is crazy. Yeah, I say over the span that advisor was working with him. You understand? And a lot of them are listening to the wrong people. They're taking advice from the wrong people, and their money is getting ate up. And most of them, you talk to them, they have no life insurance at all. They have no life insurance at all. You understand? I'm gonna tell a story, and this is how some people are smart, okay, and they sit around the right people. So, Magic Johnson, okay, the way Magic Johnson found out that he was HIV positive, I believe this is what the story that they say was he was applying for a whole life insurance policy. That was the first initial cash value policy from back in the day. And that's what they say, I believe, is how he found out that he had HIV. Now, but that's not the point. The point is this. Why would Magic Johnson, who at that time was the man, he had Converse, I believe he had Sprite, I believe. He was making millions with the Lakers. I think he might have done some McDonald's commercial. Like, he was just the man. He was making money. Why would he be applying for life insurance? Because somebody sat down with this man and said, listen, you're playing right now. One day, your plane will stop and the money will stop. Let's put a little bit away. And then when you're done playing, you have money coming in. And he actually did it. I heard a story about a guy named O.J. Simpson that you guys may know. Haven't verified it, but I heard it too many times, so I believe it must be real. O.J. Simpson, at the time before he passed away, the way he was still generating income, he had opened up a whole life policy when he was playing, and he was putting a little bit in every single year. So after everything happened, and the civil suit, whatever, they couldn't touch his life insurance policy because life insurance is not considered an asset. And that's where OJ was drawing income from. This is the story I've heard. Because I've always wondered, where is this man getting money from? You understand? If everything was taken from this guy. And I've heard the story, hey, you can't touch a person's life insurance policy. It's not considered an asset. And that's where he was getting money from. Okay? So now, obviously, basketball player make way more than NFL player, right? So I'm going to give you a scenario for an NFL player in case some of you guys may know some of these kids who are college players about to go into the league, or who are already in the league. And you might say, hey, you know what? I want you to call this guy, at least sit down with him and hear him out, and see, we're actually working with, and obviously we're not allowed to, say who it is, but it's two college players right now. One, I believe, is going into the league and is playing for a particular team that I can't mention. And then there's another one who, this is a second year playing in college right now. So we kind of work with them, let's see how that's going to go, right? But, in doing so, I started to realize that, man, these kids are not getting this information. This is the reason why they all go broke after the fact. This right here, this IUO will literally save their life and their family's life. Most of these NBA players 70, 80% of them, when they die, they will leave their family absolutely nothing. Nothing. This scenario here will allow them now to pass on generational wealth. A lot of them can actually leave their children a billion or two if they see the value and decide to do just more than the bare minimum as to what I'm saying right here. You understand? So if we take an NFL player for example, okay, who actually have a shorter, career span than an NBA player. NFL player's career span is about 3 years at best. Okay, and they make a salary a year of $5 million. Okay, for 5 years, right? And this person contributed $500,000 into the same thing into an IUL. Okay, by age 55, this individual could have anywhere between $7 million to $10 million of cash value, right? $7 million to $10 million of cash value. Okay, then he used it to pull out 400K to 600K tax free a year. They can still, in a way, live the lifestyle that they may have been accustomed to. Okay, they don't have to go all the way broke. Like, and a lot of this is happening, and this is why I always say I don't understand why the school system. Well, I understand, but the school system needs to teach financial education because a lot of people don't understand the power of compounding interest. They don't understand how money works. You understand? So, this to me, I think, needs to be shared. I think every time a rookie comes in, they need to sit them in front of advisors like us, like myself, and have them go into not only thinking about making money now, but also having money when they're done playing, but then also leaving their family a legacy. Most of these players are not going to be Michael Jordan. They're not going to be LeBron James. They're not Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, all these guys with these huge contracts, Luka. Most 90% of the players are not going to get these kind of contracts. So they're going to play 5 years later, they're out of the league, boom, the money stops. But again, with this information, it can allow them to continue on. You understand? Now, why the IUL beats other common options for athletes, right? For example, the IUL versus the 401k and 403b, because yes, in the NFL and in the NBA and the MLB, they are technically employees. Okay, so they do have the option to contribute into the 401k and 403b, right? But guess what? Those products have annual limitation. So, for example, as of 2024 last year, the max you can actually contribute into a 401k, I believe, is $23,000 a year. Okay, and most athletes need a product that will allow them to do 100K and above. You understand? Because the rule of thumb is you want to save at least 10 to 15% of what you're making. So if you're making $1 million a year, and we use a 10% rule, you got to at least be able to put away $1 million at a minimum. The 401k doesn't allow you to do that. You understand? So, this is why a lot of them, they might max out, their 401k, with the league at $23,000. But then guess what? They got a mortgage on this big old house. Or they're financing other things. They bought their mama a house, their daddy a house, their friends a house, like they got cars or whatever like that. And you've only invested $23,000 a year and you blew the rest while playing. And now you get out, you're done playing, the money stops. But you've only saved this little amount. You're gonna file for bankruptcy. Okay. Um, the IUL versus real estate and other business venture. Okay. The real estate, yeah, portfolio is good for diversifying, but it is a high risk. For example, I believe Anton Walker, one of his story was he bought some bad real estate. I believe that was his story. You know what I'm saying? He bought some bad real estate. I think a few of them bought some restaurant. They risked money in the restaurants, and and that went flop. So that's that. But an IUL actually provides you downside protection and guarantees. Okay, versus CD and short-term investment. Obviously, CDs, the rates are kind of low, so you're not gonna make too much money in that. And then every single year with a CD, you're gonna get a 1099, and you have to pay taxes on that money. So it's not allowing you to compound, interest like that. All right. And here's the deal. With the IUL, you're not just putting money away, you're actually engineering your retirement and your legacy compared to those other products. With the IUL, you're doing multiple things at the same time. Because to get into an IUL, you have to have a life insurance death benefit. Okay? So with you not having a life insurance death benefit, that means your family now is going to be secured. So that's one problem now that you dealt with. Then the other side is now you have the policy. Now you can max fund it. So the way the IRS set up these policies is because they understand why people get into it. You understand? They understand people get into it to avoid paying a boatload of taxes, which is why I believe Magic Johnson back then was advised to get into it. You're making all this money, put some away, grow some money, because there's an IRS tax code inside a life insurance policy that says that everything inside a life insurance policy is 100% tax free. If you pass away, the death proceeds are 100% tax free. If you're pulling money out for income, it's 100% tax free. If you tap into the living benefits because you're sick, that's 100% tax free. So every smart and intelligent business person and wise person, okay, understand one of the number one way, okay, to lose majority of your money is taxes. So the life insurance policy, because of the IRS tax code that they implemented it, allow you to avoid all these things. So a lot of smart people, a lot of intelligent people, high earners. I'm gonna tell you this. Who use these the most? Doctors. Doctors get sued like crazy. But if your money is inside a life insurance policy and it's not considered an asset, all you can sue me for is what's in my bank account and what's in my 401k. I could have $10 million inside my life insurance policy. It's a life insurance policy. It's not an asset. Right? So this is stuff that I believe a lot of these athletes, this information is what a lot of them are not getting. And I wanted to take a moment out because, again, in dealing with these two athletes, and you guys pray for me because this will be my first athlete. You understand? Like, I almost got lucky one time. It's a gentleman. I'm not going to name his name. I received a form as to a request for a particular thing, and I went to this person's house, and I was like, I know you. You understand? So, and that one almost went well. It could possibly still go well, still in communication a little bit. But these two right here, I think is gonna, and when it happened, I'm definitely gonna announce it. But in dealing with them, I'm realizing that this is something that the NBA, the NFL, the MLB is not teaching these kids at all. And I don't understand why. I don't understand why. Hey, Chad, yeah, unless we look at money differently, we will only be passing on bills, debt, and somebody opening up and go. Listen, I'm glad you mentioned the GoFundMe, and because I'm going to throw this in there real quickly, and this is not, this is just happened recently. I'm talking about like this past 10 days. It's a young lady who I know I've known. I mean, we partied together. I've known them for almost 30 years, actually. Well, I'm sorry, 25 years. I've known them for a long time. And I sat down with her about 2 years ago to talk to her about getting a policy. And she said, oh, she didn't have the money or whatever. So I talked to her about getting a policy for herself and her two children. And mind you, and I believe if memory served me well, it came out to roughly 120 something, 122, 123, somewhere around there, right? And she said she didn't have it. Fast forward 2 years later, her daughter had a bowel, and I forgot the word. I think it's bowel obstruction, something like that. She said, where her bowel busted, and the toxin and everything traveled, to her brain, and she became like brain dead or something like that. And she just passed away 2 days ago. Like it's the craziest thing, and because I know her and the kids, like it paused me for a second because this was a young lady who was in college. Like she was on her way to doing good things in life, and she never got in any trouble, didn't get pregnant, wasn't a teenage, pregnancy. Like she studied, she made her way to, like, and this happened. It scared me because I'm like, man, she's only like 22 years old, you know, and I'm so now I'm calling her, she's not answering. So I called the cousin, and the cousin was like, yeah, she's going through it right now, but they have a GoFundMe page, can you go over there and contribute and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. Because when I sat down with her, I mean, I think the kids policy was no more than $49, $50 a month for 200K, like policy, you know, that could have been enough to take care of the funeral and then leave mom some money so mom can take off like a year from work to grieve. Because I know she loved these two kids. She loved her children to death. So I can only imagine like how she, like, there's no way. Like I couldn't go to work the next day or the next month or the next 6 months if something happened to my kid. I couldn't. I know me. That's why my two boys right now, my two sons, carry more life insurance than most grown adults. My two sons carry more life insurance than most grown adults. My oldest is 21, my youngest is 10. And they carry over $500,000 policy. Why is that? Because I know, when I said this yesterday, when people think about life insurance for kids, they have this stigma about it. Or some people think, oh, this is death money or blood money or some crazy stuff like that, right? What they don't realize is most of that money is going to go towards you getting some counseling, some healing, some psychiatric help. And while you're going through all that, your bills and still need to be paid because you probably not going to be able. I'm going to give an example. When my brother died, and me and my brother was close, he died a week before his 21st birthday. I literally couldn't work. I was forced to go to work because I had bills to pay. And every day they would send me home. But because I've been there for 3-4 years or so, I'm a great worker, and stuff like that. And I was actually a manager then also. The owner of the establishment said, hey, take off 2 months. We're going to pay you. And once you come back, we'll figure out, how we can deduct, blah, blah, blah. And that was the only time I was able to grieve. Because I will go there and my head will be screwed up. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm not focused and blah, blah, blah. It was like, just go home. So a lot of people don't understand. They're thinking, oh, you trying to get, life insurance on your kids and blah, blah, blah. No. because I know if something happened to my children, I would not be able to function. I'm sorry. I know me personally. Now, some people might be able to go to work the next day, act like nothing happened. Great. Great. That's on them. You understand? But not me. And this is what I try to explain to, most folks, especially, in our community. And also on top of that, too, when we sit here and we hear all these trust fund babies and stuff like that, a lot of these other group of people, this is what they do. They open up big policies. My mom is a nurse. She's a caretaker at this retirement home in Chevy Chase, Maryland. So you already know what that means. This is the richest of the people that she's caring for. It's a lady that my mom has been taking care of for almost 2-3 years. And I think my mom found out one day that the little room that the lady had, a single room, was 10 grand a month. And my mom happened to ask the lady, hey, how are you able to? I've been taking care of you now for the past 3 years. Okay. Before that, somebody else was taking care of you. So you've been here for 5 or 6 years. How are you able to afford this place? And the lady told her when she was a baby, her parents opened her up a life insurance policy. And that's where the money is coming from to take care of her. And then she said, my mom, they call her Abby. She said, Abby, come here, let me tell you something. And my mom's like, and she said, hey, listen, and then when I pass away, my kids don't know, but they're gonna get about $5 million. Then my mom called me. She said, hey, Maxwell, I want a policy. I thought something happened to her. I thought something happened. And I was like, because I was trying to get my mom to get a policy for a long time. She's West African. You already know what that means. They ain't trying to hit it. But it took this lady expressing to my mom the benefit of these plans for her to now have an open ear. So, yeah, I want to touch on that real quick, Chad. But either way, listen, I'm going to wrap up, right? Because I kind of wanted, and again, if you guys know anybody, whether they're a coach, high school coach, college coach, NBA coach, whether you know some players who are in college, who are in the league, please share this video with them, because I'm willing to bet 99% chance that a lot of them don't know anything about what I just expressed today. Okay, and I'm gonna do a quick recap and then we'll call it a night. Okay, number one, okay, the IUL allow you to leverage peak earning years for lifetime income. Okay, number two is a tax efficient growth and tax-free distribution plan. Okay, number three is protection against the downside or the risk in the market. So some of these guys, again, are investing in bad investment, or they're investing in stocks and they're losing their money, Bitcoin, whatever, right? This allows you to avoid all that craziness, okay? Number four, the life insurance death benefit, for your family or your business, okay? And number five, estate and legacy planning is also built in, right? So that way, when you pass away, your properties can be all, taken care of, your bills that you owe people. I heard that Michael Jackson had one of the biggest life insurance policies. And when he passed away, some of that death proceed is what went to pay off the debt for Never Neverland. Everybody's sitting here thinking Michael Jackson's a clown and they think he's this ignorant person, whatever like that, and he's just like whatever. He's actually a genius. He's actually a genius. So listen, again, if this is your first time watching me, please subscribe. And if you saw value, if you heard value today in what I just expressed today, please hit the like button. This helps the algorithm, push this out. Okay. And again, if you know anybody who needs to hear this, please just share with them. Okay. And if you yourself personally say, hey, you know what? I kind of like this IUL. All right. You can call. I work well with text. Okay, you can call me. I'll probably pick up, but I get a lot of calls every day with no name attached to it. I'm on the road. I'm on the road a lot, so sometimes I won't pick up. I'll call the person back. But if you text me and I know what it's about, I'll call you back right away. So my number again is 443-208-5480. That's 443-208-5480. Outside that, hey, listen, love you guys. Have a good one and see you in the next live.